I have this one more question that is kind of an open question. I was wondering if you had just a general insight on, which is about retaliatory dynamics and driving violent contagions. And there's these two words I like to throw out: cumulative extremism and symbiotic radicalization, where one side does something and then the other side retaliates, and then the other side retaliates back, and now you're in a vicious cycle and a downward spiral.
Yeah.
And so one of the interesting game theoretic techniques that Robert Axelrod talks about is like this idea of de-escalatory retaliation. And I think that just a geopolitical example is when the Iranian general Qasem Soleimani was assassinated. Iran had to have some kind of retaliation against the United States, so they sent two missiles against a U.S. base, but didn't kill any U.S. Personnel. So they retaliated and had the benefit of signaling that you're standing up to defend your sovereignty or whatever, but they didn't actually kill anyone from the United States. So it was kind of like it signaled that they're not retaliating totally in kind. And that's actually one of the techniques that we train credible messengers is negotiating a de-escalatory retaliation so that if let's say you kill two of our guys, we'll just kill one of your guys, and the other side kind of gets the message, right? I mean, it sounds terrible, but this is actually a technique used in like gang de-escalation. So I'm just curious, can you speak generally to this issue of retaliation in driving contagion and the role that this kind of symbiotic radicalization effect plays?
Retaliation absolutely drives contagion of violence. So, for example, the go-to example is gang violence, where this is one of the things at Cure Violence Global. One of the partners in this project is they specialize in actually interrupting that cycle of tit for tat retaliatory violence. And it's been quite effective. And again, by using trusted messengers. So when there is an incident of violence, basically using trusted messengers to basically calm the situation down such that any kind of response to that is at least not violent to the same degree, like is not a shooting, for example. And that is shown to be quite effective. I on a tangent here, I actually enjoy watching a show called Deadliest Catch. I grew up in a fishing village, and those people on that show are like every single person I ever grew up with. And so I actually enjoy watching it just because it's like a slice of home. But I was watching an episode recently where, and I don't know if either of you ever watched this, but
yeah,
things can be pretty rough on a crab boat where there is a lot of tit for tat violence happening, where they decide they don't like, two guys decide they don't like each other, and it just escalates and oftentimes leads to blows. And so there was a captain of one of the boats, and one of his new deckhands actually was very, very angry and acting. He didn't hurt anybody, but he was acting violently and he was slamming things around. And so what the captain did actually was when the guy came in, so he just basically, told him like, dude, you got to calm down. But when the guy came in, the captain brought him coffee and said, when I'm giving, when I'm telling you you shouldn't do X, Y, and Z, well, I'm just telling you to from the goodness of my heart. And, I'm not trying to make fun of you. I'm not trying to make you feel bad. It's just, this is the way we operate on this boat. And he brought him coffee. And so it's like, I love you and I respect your opinion, and, just keep in mind. And he's basically like, it completely changed the dynamic of the interaction. So what that captain could have done, and which some of the captains do, is just they get in an argument with a person and fire them. And instead, what this particular person did was de-escalated that situation. So his retaliatory act was actually to bring the guy a cup of coffee. It's like a conciliatory act, which actually still left him in a place of power. So he wasn't conceding power to the person, but definitely de-escalated that. And I thought, oh, there's a really good lesson to be learned on how to do really effective. And it just comes really naturally to that particular person, because I've seen his dynamics and how he interacts with people. It comes naturally to him to do that. So when he is around people who act violently, and a lot of crabbers do act violently, he de-escalates the situation. So
there you go. Life lesson. Deadliest Catch.
That'll absolutely be a clip.
190 miles northwest of Dutch Harbor.
Do you hear the whistling?
near the Pribilof Islands.